July the 22nd, 2026. 60 gang outside this morning. Gonna make a quick run to Ellenwood. It's got a little overcast. We got 76 degrees. Rocking with me right quick. Got a customer unresponsive, but we're gonna do a door knock. Somebody need to do something about this damn shit here. That's gonna be a problem. It's probably gonna hit the driveway. The way it's leaning. I guess they're gonna wait till the problem occurs.
Right. But to not have African Americans and have slavery in there, that would be terrible. To not talk about segregation would be wrong. But to put it in perspective, I think would be right. To get that mix would be important.
Then there's another one called
Girlhood. It's complicated, highlights discussions on gender identity and transgender youth.
Then the last one is Entertainment Nation. It claims that Mickey Mouse represents vestiges of long-standing traditions of blackface minstrelsy.
So
they're saying that Mickey Mouse is racist.
So you want to hear this exchange? Listen to Brandon Gill.
Is Mickey Mouse racist?
Mickey Mouse is not racist.
It's not racist. According to the Smithsonian Institution, one of your exhibits referenced Mickey Mouse as representing, quote, vestiges of long-standing traditions of blackface minstrelsy. Would you describe that as racist?
No, the historical trajectory of the origins of Mickey Mouse tie directly
so Mickey Mouse is rooted in racism. Is that your testimony?
No, sir, it's rooted in minstrelsy.
Minstrelsy, and you don't think that blackface minstrelsy is racist?
It had certain obvious racial overtones that have been well documented.
You think that that's problematic, that Mickey Mouse also has those racial overtones?
It's not for me to determine what's problematic. It's determined to me what's accurate.
So we looked it up. Walt Disney took up Mickey Mouse when they lost the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which must have been traumatic. So he came up.
Wasn't lucky.
So he came up with Mickey Mouse. Now, critics say the early black body, white face highlights, and oversized white gloves, exaggerated movements and performance in cartoons like at the Opry House are cited by scholars as reflecting minstrel era conventions. Others say that Mickey Mouse is simply rooted, saying it's rooted minstrelly, whatever it's called, overstates what the historical evidence is. It's more mimicking the era of silent films like Charlie Chaplin. I mean, it's such a reach. It's such a reach to categorize it like that.
This is just a fictitious mouse that we all. This is like an iconic childhood memory.
Steamboat Willie.
Yes, and they're saying that Steamboat Willie was the first time Mickey Mouse debuted in 1928.
We all remember.
Yes, and then, well, not really. The White House claims that the museum has abandoned objective scholarship in favor of a radical activist ideology.
Yeah, trigger warnings on the Declaration of Independence, I think, is woke and ridiculous.
Can we just go to the Smithsonian and learn about our history and not have to worry about Mickey Mouse being racist or not? All right, more Fox and Friends coming up.
That he allegedly pulled up here to this federal building where sources tell us 2 rifles were inside. We actually just saw investigators pulling out some sort of sheet material with some large either painting or writing on it. And as you can see, they're kind of going through that card as of now. What we learned from sources is that this person, who again is in custody at the moment, pulled up with this car, had 2 rifles in it, had a bunch of fireworks, and used somewhat of like a pellet gun to keep people away as he tried to light these fireworks, according to sources, and then threw this incendiary device at the building, 26 Federal Plaza, that houses ICE. It houses other federal agencies and also the New York FBI headquarters. We also know in that car, we're learning from sources, there were some sort of posters or writings about anti-ICE material. Right now, investigators are going through the criminal background of this individual who is in police custody, trying to figure out if he's had any sort of associations with police in the past. Is there some sort of checking the mental wellness of this person? These are all questions that they're continuing to ask.
Anti-ICE stuff on him. That's about all we know. Can you add any further detail to that? What exactly was the content?
I don't want to get ahead of the FBI in this. I simply don't know. I just got advised of this before I came out the North Lawn. But again, why does he think ICE is bad? Why does he want to attack ICE? Again, because the last year and a half, all he's heard from Democratic members of Congress and sanctuary city mayors and governors is that ICE is not a real law enforcement agency. ICE is separating families. ICE arresting people in churches and hospitals, which is none of it's true. So I'm sure he's been educated by the wrong people, and that's why he's chosen to take action. Because every time they talk about this hateful rhetoric rises, there's that small percentage on the far left who will take some sort of ridiculous action because they feel emboldened because members of Congress are agreeing with him that ICE needs to go away.
You know, but these were fatal.
All right, so Tom Homan just happened to be scheduled for a number of different interviews as all this stuff was happening. He's not having it whatsoever. In fact, he's going to be pushing harder into New York City. And what I was talking about earlier when I said, you know, we had an entire event take place over the last 30 days at multiple venues in multiple parts of the country, President Trump acknowledged that. He said the World Cup turned out to be a spectacular success. I want to thank all those involved, but in particular, our great law enforcement. The respect that everyone had for them, together with their love of country, kept this great championship the safest and most spectacular World Cup in history by far. Thank you also to all others involved, in particular to young and dynamic Andrew Giuliani, working for the government of the United States of America, and the fantastic president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, on a job well done. Few people will ever be able to accomplish what he has done in elevating the World Cup to a level that nobody thought was possible. Congratulations to all, President Donald J. Trump. So to dovetail off of what I said earlier, we've now seen a couple of major events take place. We saw the entirety of the World Cup. We saw 4th of July with everything that went along with that. We saw the Great American Fair. And then we're about to see the big race in downtown Washington. And, you know, knock on wood, everything, not one, not a few, every single thing. The only, I forgot about the MMA thing. The only thing that has happened is weather. That's the one thing that nobody could really control or say they can control. And that has had any threat to anything has been weather. And incidentally, it was kind of weird that both those events, the weather went away when it was supposed to. When the fireworks were supposed to go off, the weather stopped. When the MMA fight was supposed to happen, the weather cleared. I don't know if it rained at any of the soccer matches. Nothing happened. And it's not by accident that President Trump says, I want to thank our great law enforcement. And so, based on what I said earlier and what you saw, and then you see this idiot, and now Tom Homan is basically telling him, we're not stopping. It's working. Which is probably pissing Democrats off.
Shootings, of course, in Houston and in Maine. And in Houston, it was an unmarked car. So when you're saying don't resist, these individuals who were chasing the man who died, they didn't have markings on that vehicle that would allow for him to know that they were ICE. It just looked like a car coming after them in the videos.
No, they have emergency lights. Officers have insignia, so when they get out of that car and approach the car, you can clearly see the law enforcement officers.
Well, in the video that has been public, it's not a marked car.
These people, I'm not saying it's a marked car, but they have emergency lights and sirens. So when they pull somebody, they want to activate the emergency lights. A lot of police departments. I'm in New York City right now. A lot of NYPD officers are driving unmarked vehicles, and that helps them find people that don't want to be found, right? So, but bottom line is, we'll see when the investigation plays out, but they would be alive today if they simply complied with a vehicle stop by federal law enforcement. Just comply. You can, if you don't think you're being treated right and they had no reason to stop you, then there's avenues to take them to court, to sue.
Well, the family of the man in Houston said that he thought he was being robbed because it was an unmarked vehicle. Not that it was law enforcement at all.
They had emergency lights. They activate emergency lights, blue and light. In my vehicle, I drive.
Wait. So let me put the solemn face on. The family of the dead guy said that the dead guy thought he was being robbed. How did they know? Did the dead guy text them or something and say I'm being robbed? I'm just wondering, how the hell you know what the dead guy actually thought? Was he in the middle of an altercation with the ICE agents and said, I think I'm being robbed by these masked guys? Or did you just make that up, Margaret? I'm pretty sure you just made that up. He thought he was being mugged. I don't know any mugging where they actually turn on police lights before they mug you. Pretty much try to do that in the dark and not bring a whole lot of attention to themselves. Meanwhile, these guys are turning on sirens and stuff. This woman is insufferable. I can't stand her. She tries to come off high and mighty. Yesterday, she tried to go after the Bank of America president. Said they didn't really make all that money. Yeah, they did. They made $6 billion. Oh, I must have my stuff wrong. Yeah, you do. I gotta believe the new people are gonna buy CBS are gonna have her go away because all she tries to do is come on with gotchas, and Tom Homan ain't playing that.
I've run with my security detail.
You've seen that on video? Lights. Because we haven't.
I don't care what you see. We have it. Oh, you must have went to the Mika Brzezinski School of Journalism, where you're the one who's the arbiter of truth. No longer the courts, no longer the camera. I haven't seen it yet. Tom, you're better than me, because I don't care. I don't care.
On video, man.
That there were lights, because in the videos that we've seen, there aren't. And because there weren't body cameras, it is hard to substantiate some of what you were saying.
Okay, well, I have not seen the videos, but I'm saying our vehicles are equipped with emergency lights. Now, if they didn't activate the lights, again, I haven't seen that video. If they didn't activate the lights, then there's an issue there, right? But I'm saying they are equipped with lights. So let me just caveat that. They should have been equipped with lights and sirens, but I do not know specifically if they activated those lights.
Tom, staying on New York, Governor Kathy Hochul recently signed legislation essentially making New York a sanctuary state. You threatened her, if she did so, that we would see more ICE agents in New York City than we've ever seen before. I know that you've also reviewed operational plans. What's the latest on that? When can we expect to see those ICE agents?
You'll see me at a press event when it's over.
That's a tease.
I'm not going to,
any
forecast any enforcement operation. But here's another politician that says she said 100 times she believes in the enforcement of immigration law against those criminals. But then she locks us out of the jail. She can't square that. She says she cares about enforcing against criminal illegal aliens, but ended the 287G program where we were working with sheriffs in the jail. So if an illegal alien is sitting in that county jail, chances are he's not a choir boy, he's a criminal. But she locked us out of 287G programs. I looked at the data this morning, my chief of staff. We got just shy of 6,500 criminal aliens we took off the streets in New York. So the data doesn't match your talking points. In the 287G program, several hundred criminal illegal aliens were handed to us through that 287G program. Now that she ended it, those several hundred aliens in the future will be hitting the streets in New York, reoffending it against the citizens of New York, who she should really be caring about.
So are we talking days or weeks, do you think?
It's coming.
Yeah. He's about to surge more people into New York, despite what Mamdani thinks and despite what Kathy Hochul thinks. It's coming. Now, right now, you have to understand that
Mandami probably has seen this report, and I'm sure Hochul has seen this report, and they I don't know how they're going to react except run to a microphone and talk dirty and be mad. They're coming. I can't tell you the exact day. They're coming.
So
come on, Tom. All right, fair.
What makes you think we're not already here? I mean, we got to remember, ICE is operating in New York City today. We're operating across the state today, but there's going to be a surge, and there needs to be a surge. But I am not going to show our hand because, you know, there are groups, well-funded groups, who will try to impede, interfere. We're not going to give them any upside on this.
Fair enough.
Stay tuned. Something tells me over the next couple of weeks we're going to have a whole bunch of video. I bet you they waited until the World Cup was over. They wanted to make sure everybody that was here to see the games, let's keep them safe as job number one. Now that that is over, now that the World Cup is finished, we have a champion. Now, get into New York and clean these people up. So now after he did this, then he went back to the White House and he had this, they call it the Sticks, is where he did a press conference.
Hi, Mr. Holman. Starting with what happened this morning in New York City, can you tell us more about the identity of the anti-ICE rider and then anything you know about the manifesto?
No, I don't think. I just got apprised of that before I walked out here, so I don't want to get ahead of the FBI. I don't know what changed since I walked out here, so it's too early. I'm not going to comment on it.
So
Other than this is another example of someone, you know, attacking ICE because of the constant mismessaging and vilification of the men and women of ICE.
So will there be investigations into ICE agents who either kill people that they are pursuing or are involved in some kind of violent altercation?
Of course there will be.
The New York Times is reporting that the FBI was told over the weekend that they will no longer investigate confrontations with immigration agents.
Well, let's be clear. What we mean by confrontations, it's always been history that, you know, for instance, what happened in Minneapolis and Chicago and Newark, prosecution of 111 cases, which are assaulting law enforcement officers, is usually handled by HSI, you know, criminal investigations. The FBI does get involved with them, but they're not leading. But when it comes to shootings, the FBI is always taking the lead. So I think that messaging is a little confusing. The FBI is still going to continue to lead shooting investigations. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not aware of any change in policy, and I think the FBI and DHS actually pushed back on that story.
When it comes to body cameras, you're a fan of body cameras now, right?
Yes, I've always been a fan.
Why did the administration, there was an executive order the president put forward when he came into office to rescind the Biden executive order that was mandating body cameras. Why the change now? Why is the administration...
Look, I'm a supporter of body cameras. You know, I know that body cameras exonerate officers almost 90% of the time. I want the American people to see what that ICE agent sees. You know, you can have cell phone cameras from across the street or cameras from the side or city cameras. I want the American people to see what that ICE officer sees when he takes action. And I think it's going to help ICE with the false media that's out there about it.
But then why did the administration roll back what the Biden administration was trying to do to get body cameras and all?
That's a question above me. I'm just telling you, when I came back and, you know, then when Democrats shut the government down, I was a part of that negotiation team up on the Hill. They kept going to Minnesota. All the mistakes they say happened in Minnesota. I don't think there's a lot of the mistakes they claim in Minnesota. A lot more, I don't think, mistakes. But one thing they asked was, we want body cameras. I said, well, there's money, $120 million in the bill you're holding up for me to buy the body cameras. So the reason there's not body cameras nationwide right now because they shut the government down. And anybody doesn't believe that, look it up. Now that we have the funding, body cameras have been purchased. As of last week, they were training the trainers. Body cameras are being deployed throughout the country, training the trainers so they can go to, you know, a Boston field office and train everybody. Here's how to use it. Here's how long you need to keep the tape. And it just wasn't the funding for the cameras either. We had to hire a lot of people to handle FOIAs because I'm sure all you don't FOIA camera every day, right? So we got our people to handle FOIAs. We got in the storage capability of holding millions and millions of video. That's expensive. But now we got the money that's being implemented.
You just said that in Minnesota, what happened wasn't a mistake with the shootings that was.
I said Democrats claimed all these mistakes were made, and when I sat down with them, they said, well, mask off. No, we're not taking masks off.
Well, you're saying it's not a mistake. Do you have an update on the investigation that they made?
No, look, I went to Minnesota and I said from day one, it was not a perfect operation. There were several chains of command. I had a problem with the targeting. I went on there and made changes. I brought in additional internal affairs agents in. We created one chain of command. And you know, I see a lot of people out there saying that, you know, we surrendered Minnesota. No, we didn't. We got agreements that keeps that city safer, keeps the officers safer, and bottom line, keeps the aliens safer too. Because the more aliens we can arrest in the safety and security of a jail means less criminal aliens being released to the street. So we were able to go up there and continue the operation, but we had unprecedented agreements where less criminal aliens are hitting the street, which is good for that state, good for that city, and safer for our officers. That's a win across the board.
Mr. Roman, on the ICE officer in Maine, is there any more clarity on how he got his job, considering the vetting concerns that his wife has raised? Are there potential changes coming to the vetting process of ICE agents?
That's a question for ICE. That's under investigation. I'm sure that part now is part of the investigation. We'll let the investigation play. I'm not going to comment on the investigation. This is ongoing.
The FBI. The New York Times found a review that 550
Mark Wayne Mullen as the DHS secretary. What would you describe as the difference between his management style and the management style of his predecessor?
And let me say this. Someone shared an ex-post this morning. There are people out there who want to attack this current administration. They don't think we're doing enough. There was an ex-post this morning that someone shared with me. Someone named Marianne or somebody. The ICE was arresting 3,000 aliens a day last year. No, not once. Not a single time did we arrest 3,000 aliens. And now they say we're arresting 2,000. We're hitting about 2,000 pretty steadily. Like I said this weekend, I looked at the data. Arrests are up about 40% over the same time period that we've been funded. Now, I've been frank from the beginning. Numbers were down for a few months because the department was shut down. Of course, numbers are going to go down when targeting less and officers, less overtime and all those other reasons. When you shut, the government down, there's going to be less due. So, and I was very honest from day one. The numbers were down 12 to 16%, but now the numbers are trailing up 40% because we are fully funded. I thought they're doing their job.
See, that's one of the things that people haven't taken into account, that there's so many people on the right who are out there peddling complete misinformation or disinformation. And I like his face. He just kind of had a chuckle. It's like, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. And the other thing people aren't taking into account is how many self-deportations, how that has risen. I read yesterday that 80% of the Haitians in Springfield, Illinois, are gone. They self-deported. Nobody in the media will tell you that. None of them will ask that question. Is it true that 80% of the Haitians in Springfield are gone? Nobody's talking about that. So they're using all kinds of things to obfuscate and complain about. And there's another thing that just popped up today that people are complaining about again. And I'm like, get your information. Don't listen to people who are just taking things off a government website and then reading them to you and telling you that's what this means. We're trying to get Glenn Thompson on the show so we can actually talk to him specifically. Eric posted something. This was pretty interesting. Update. This was earlier. Mark Wayne Mullen posted a deportation flight being loaded up this morning. Filled. It's a great day for deportations. Time for DHS to smash more ICE records. And they're loading them up. But you don't see that because nobody wants to show it to you. Nobody is going to. Just think of the Herculean task that Tom Homan has. And they're asking, hey, what's the difference between Mark Wayne Mullen and Kristi Noem? It's like, man, number one, we can't give you that information because we won't give it to you. It's none of your business. But then why aren't you talking about that? Where's your reporters? Why is there no reporter at the airport? Why are you putting that all over the news? Nope, nobody wants to talk about it. They want to keep complaining. I think complaining sells. I think the more, controversy you can stir up and bitch at brings you more numbers, because there has to be a reason why people do it, especially when they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
But I'm really tired of the false narratives going out there about what this administration is doing. The numbers are up. Last month, June, highest numbers of arrests in the history of the agency.
How many?
Then I see people say, wow, you're combining CBP numbers or Coast Guard. No, I didn't. The numbers I quoted this weekend were ICE numbers. So I wish people would do a little bit of research before they start attacking this administration, what we're doing right now. Our numbers are higher than ever been. And I'm sick and tired of people saying we're not doing enough. That's an insult to every ICE agent that's strapping up every day, working 6 to 7 days a week to get this done. It's an insult. These men and women are acting professionally. They're out there making record numbers, and people want to question numbers. I guess that's your right, but
that's what gets me. It's easy to talk about things without having all the data behind you and understand how much these guys are busting their ass. I mean, absolutely out there busting their ass, trying to get as many people out as possible, and then people complain it's still not enough. Instead of saying, thank you for your efforts, keep going, just keep going. He just told you earlier that they're surging into New York City. Anybody talking about that? Other than the fact that you saw that clip, did you know that they're getting ready to surge into New York City? Probably not. It's easier to complain than to applaud.
Let's compare facts.
I just have a question about the difference in the management style of those.
Me and Mark Wayne want to get along well, and he cares about the mission. We serve different roles. ICE and CBP reports to Mark Wayne Mullen. I'm here. I help Stephen Miller. We develop strategies that send down to the programs for implementation. So we got different roles. But I think Mark Wayne Mullen's doing a good job.
How does the FBI investigate these ICE agents if they confront people? That is what the New York Times is saying. That's what their reporting is. They have something that 550 people had charges brought against them for assaulting federal officers. Of the more than 400 cases that were resolved, nearly half had unraveled.
You know what's going to help though? The body cameras. They didn't have body cameras. A lot of these computations happen. Again, I think body cameras are going to help. Look, I'm not going to comment on these investigations.
So that's the answer, not FBI investigating it, is what you're saying.
As far as I know, there's been no change in policy. The FBI and DHS just responded to that story and didn't agree with it. Again, I'm not looped on that. I can just tell you from my experience, FBI has always been involved in shooting investigations. HSI, they're the criminal investigation part of ICE. They do the majority of investigations in 111, which is assault and beating an officer.
How are the training procedures changing? You talked about training the trainers. How are those training procedures changing? And
they're not changing. Training the trainers for the cameras. How do you operate a camera? What's the requirements? When do you turn it on? When do you turn it off? How quick do you need to store the data? How long is the data being stored? So there's a lot of work into this, and training the trainers. Once they get fully trained, they go to the field office with the equipment, and they implement and deploy it and tell people, here's how you use it, and here's how you control it.
So what's the timeline then for every immigration agent to have body camera?
As soon as possible, if I have my way.
So you're satisfied with the training right now of ICE agents? Nothing needs to be improved.
There's always room for improvement. That's a loaded question. There's always room for improvement. Things change all the time. FBI updates their training. DEA updates their training. Every police department updates their training. Because ICE used to, look, you can never be overtrained. I wish there was more training.
I think American people want the answer of when every ICE agent will be wearing a body camera. I know you said as soon as possible, but is there a timeline floating around within?
That's a question for us. I know they got a deployment schedule, and I know they got the equipment. That's a question for us. I'm not in the weeds that deep.
Is there legislation required to turn on their cameras?
Every American wants to know when ICE is going to be wearing body cameras. Who do these people talk to? I'm seriously, what circle of friends do they ever? Oh, every American really wants to know when ICE is all going to have body cameras. No, we don't. I could care less. If he wants to put body cameras on him, go for it. If you don't want to put body cameras on them, I don't care. Just get them out. Keep those planes moving. I'd venture to say right now, if we took a poll in here, how many of you guys would want to, the Americans want to know when you want to put the body cameras on? They just make crap up all the time.
At all times during a traffic stop?
Yeah. Yes.
Are the administration concerned more about the quantity of ICE agents over the quality of agents?
Say that again?
Is this administration more concerned about the number, the quantity of ICE administrations that it deploys over the quality?
I can't speak for everybody's administration, but quality agents are very important. So it should be, you don't give someone a badge and gun, they need to be the best they can be.
So are there going to be reevaluations of the higher?
That's a question for us.
Is there any other procedure or protocol on the ground changing? Stops?
There's already, the director of ICE decided that, there needs to be at least one body camera on the scene. And again, I'm a big supporter of the body cameras. And as more body camera gets out there, they all have.
That's the only change.
But let's be clear, you can attack the men and women at ICE all you want. It comes down to one simple fact. These people fail to comply with law enforcement. Even some of the major chiefs in this country who don't necessarily agree with this administration says you always comply with law enforcement. But the hateful rhetoric that ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I see these signs everywhere, resist. ICE are let's abolish them, they're fascists. When you keep that hateful rhetoric up for a year and a half, there's going to be that percentage of that population that it's going to be emboldened to take action because they're not real law enforcement agency. I should resist them. All they have to do is simply comply with law enforcement. If you don't like what law enforcement did to you, then go to the courts, sue, call the ACLU, do whatever you want to do. We should always comply with law enforcement. If they did, they'd be alive today. Now, I'm not going to comment on the investigation itself. We'll wait for it to play out. This is about complying with law enforcement, and a lot of the negative, hateful. And I said this a year ago. If a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And unfortunately, I was right. And I'll tell you something else. It's not over yet.
He's pissed off. He's righteously pissed off, and he's not taking any crap from this media. Body cameras, body cameras, body cameras. How about get out, get out, get out? How about you guys echo that? How about every single question is, how can we help you get these people the hell out of here so more people don't end up getting, shot because they're idiots? Why don't you facilitate that? Why don't you do something about the people who need to get out instead of worrying about encumbering the people trying to get them out? Body cameras. I got your body camera. Here's my body camera.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
And I'm not being, well, I guess I am. I don't care. I really don't care. If you're not supposed to be here, get out. It literally is that simple. Comply. You got a new president. You got new guys running things who are actually going to uphold the law. And it's a very simple proposition. You got the papers? You don't got no papers. Hit the road, Jack.
They keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me? And I'm not saying the whole country is convinced, but there's going to be that population that's just going to embolden to do something stupid. And I'm afraid that we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to hand another folded flag to a spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job. And for any member of Congress to keep attacking ICE and calling them fascists and Nazis, I said it 1,000 times. If they're a Nazi for enforcing the law, what's that make them? They wrote the law.
Turn on.
I went back and grabbed it again. I said, come on. You got to see it. I'm not kidding. She stumbled in. She cut the light on. Roaches was gone. So I'm now in the little hallway trying to figure this out. And I figured it out. That when you cut the light on, when you cut the light on, the roaches run. I did not come to Mississippi to cause no trouble. I come to cut the light on.
You see the BS? Let's see who are the roaches. You say when you turn on the light, the roaches is gone. That's how I feel about y'all. When black people like me shine the light on the crime that's happened in the black community and black children, young men and women are losing their lives to a bunch of criminals in our community, you run. Y'all run like the roaches in your analogy. Whenever black people shine the lights on our wrongdoing to each other, y'all ambulance chasers or race baiters are gone. Y'all run like roaches. That little girl whose parents killed her and poured acid on her body, we shine a light on that, y'all gone. Like that. Gone. When? Aiken Liverpool end up dying on a boat around alleged black people. Gone. Roaches. That's y'all. No race betas in sight. When we shine the light on Keanu, who was killed in Harlem, gone. Nowhere to be found. You know why? Because y'all only care when a black person life is taken and is a possible white suspect or assailant. Or what about the black youth getting shot in the subway? Or the black man getting shot on a New York City bus, dead. Gone. Roaches. Did I get the picture? Now tell me, who are the real roaches? Y'all turned Nolan Wells' funeral service to a racist pep rally. His funeral was supposed to be about the celebration of this kid's life. Good stories from his family members and friends. And y'all just bojacked / Bogart / debowed that funeral service. Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump.
Al Sharpton stood at that boy's funeral and started talking about roaches. Ben Crump is in the background smiling, clapping, laughing like he just heard a good joke. This is what happens when grief gets turned into content. The family is sitting there trying to bury their son, and the most famous voices in the room are still running the same play they've been running for decades. If this was any other community, people would call it disrespectful. When it happens here, have the comments defend it as speaking truth. That double standard is the real story.
I'm not only saying we don't want nothing. I want to say right here now, and I'm inspired by who accused us of that I want to put up from National Action Network and me. I want to offer a reward of $50,000 to anybody I want to put a reward up for $50,000 for anybody that could give the information that will lead to an arrest and a conviction in the case of what happened. He was not on that island by himself. Somebody saw something and knows something. So I didn't come to make money, I came to give money. Stand up and tell the truth. I just got a text, Christine and Elmer, you know that Tyler Perry said he would pay for the funeral. He must be watching because he said, I'm gonna match you and put up $50,000 more. So we putting up $100,000 for anybody that'll come forward. We just want the truth, that's all.
Okay, so same day, same podium. Now the reward money comes out. $50,000 from Al Sharpton. Another 50 from Tyler Perry has been reported as well. $100,000 for information that still hasn't produced a clear answer. Notice how fast the conversation moves from the actual circumstances of the death to the spectacle of the reward. Of course, the cameras love the number. The crowd claps for the number. But, you know, the question about what actually happened on the boat still sits unanswered. Money has become the substitute for clarity for them.
One of the most prominent key details that have been attached to that day is that Cyrus had a weapon. Some people are asking, why did a 14-year-old have a gun in the first place? What would be your response to that?
Why do white people gift their children guns at age 3? Why do they take them hunting? A lot of times, as parents, we don't always know what our children have. I can actually say that there was not a gun in my home. That is because I went through everything with my kids. So why he had a gun is irrelevant. When he did not point a gun, he did not do any illegal activity with the gun, he was actually running. And like the prosecution said, had they not left their store, they would not have known that Cyrus had a gun on him if that was the case.
Wow. Now, we're listening to this mother. And I will say, I just don't understand how that question somehow got directed to white people. Her 14-year-old son had a gun. And when a reporter asks the most basic question in the world, she says the gun is irrelevant because he didn't point it and didn't do anything illegal with it. The answer is more dangerous than the gun itself, right? We've reached a place where a child being armed is treated like a minor detail instead of a crisis. And somehow the people who claim to care most about black children, they always the quietest when that detail gets brushed aside.
Organization said that restricting and banning abortion is a tool of that the far right uses to maintain white supremacy. Do you believe that pro-lifers are white supremacists?
I believe that reproductive liberty is...
No, do you believe that pro-lifers are white supremacists?
I will tell you what I believe if you're asking.
Yes or no?
I can't answer that question, yes or no.
I don't think that pro-lifers are white supremacists. Do you?
What I think is that reproductive liberty is a right that every woman should enjoy.
How many babies in the United States that are aborted are black? About 40% of abortions nationwide are of black babies. Blacks represent about 13% of the population. Does that sound like something a white supremacist would oppose?
Now, this is just bizarre, right? This man asks a very simple question. Is aborting black babies something a white supremacist would oppose? You know, then he had to answer it himself. I'm telling y'all, the same voices that scream about systemic harm go silent when the numbers show that the highest body count in our communities is happening in clinics and not by police. You cannot claim to fight for black life on Monday and then treat the destruction of black life in the womb like healthcare on Tuesday. I'm telling y'all, that contradiction doesn't disappear just because the language got softer.
I seriously believe that it's perfectly fine for you to be a Democrat and you to push for the values on the Democratic side.
Yes.
And for me to be a Republican and to push for values on the Republican side.
Okay.
I think that that's perfectly fine. I think that society has said that no, all black people have to be Democratic. I believe that we're the only race that gives 90% of our vote to one party.
Which is sheer stupidity.
It is.
90% of the vote goes to one party for generations. It's not loyalty. It's a habit that stopped being examined a long time ago, right? This man is not saying abandon your values. He's saying stop letting other people decide what your values are allowed to be. When an entire community is told that one direction is the only moral option, the people given that instruction are not trying to free you. If anything, they're just trying to keep the outcome predictable.
So apparently the DSA is mad at black voters because they continue to vote for the establishment Democrats and the moderate Democrats, because they think that the Democrats, they think black people are stupid. These DSA candidates think that black people are stupid. They thought they were just going to get black people's vote. But black people ain't as stupid as y'all make them seem. They already know that the DSA ain't got their back. They already know the DSA going to put radical Muslims in places of power. They already know that these communists and socialists don't have anything in the best interest of the black community. Let's talk about the fact that they primaried one of the top Hispanic leaders in New York, who's over the Hispanic caucus for New York. That the DSA is actually coming for Hakeem Jeffries, who is one of the most prominent black Democrats in the country. So most black people are not gonna support DSA candidates, because we already know that they already know y'all ain't got their best interests. I don't like Democrat. I don't like that black people vote Democrat mostly. But I know one thing, they definitely ain't gonna vote for the DSA, because they know the DSA don't care about them. They know the DSA is trying to replace black people with these radical Muslim candidates. The DSA is a radical Muslim movement, a communist Muslim movement that wants to put everybody in power that hates Jews and hates and is Muslim. Look at all the candidates they put up. Most of them are Muslim. All around the country, the DSA is endorsing these radical atheistic Muslim candidates, and none of them are really black except the one in Washington, D.C. Most of the candidates they are putting up are not black candidates, and they are not trying to recruit black candidates. So they already know, the black people already know the game.